Welcome to the Fans Ed Sports Show, hosted by your boys 216 Mike and EG Laflare, also produced by your very own Walt K Mother effing Disney, man. This is a sports
Whoa.
show with a college football focus that allows fans to create the topics and discussions.
Hey, so what we want y'all to do is subscribe to all our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, you name it. So go ahead and while you're at it, hit that subscribe and like button. And we are on every podcast platform, streaming live every Sunday night, and then we'll be on every podcast platform on Monday morning. What it do?
What's going
What's
on, gang?
good?
Hey, week zero kickoff. You know, we had a lot of surprises out there, a lot we weren't expected. But first, let's get right into it. We got college game day versus big noon kickoff. Um, I don't know if those were watching it. What was it yesterday with that college game day? But we got Lee Corso. A lot of people saying that the man needs to go ahead and retire.
Why? What
Man,
happened?
I 1000% agree. Like watching him last year, and it just seemed like Kirk Herbstreit was a nurse's aide. Dealing with him, and we remember Lee Corso for so many of the great things with the mask, the jokes, all of that, and now we're sitting here watching this man. He can't formulate a sentence. He can't formulate his picks. He can't even say title. He can't even say championship. Like he's
Wow.
just so confused, and it's like, especially in this day and age, most people are going to end up remembering him for the worst instead of the best part of him. And it's just like ESPN, for y'all to have an icon like that, like a legend in the game of college football, let him go out with some grace. And then someone said, well, maybe it's him wanting to. They're still the bosses. Hey, we don't want you to go out like this, Lee. Here's a severance package, bruh. We gonna make sure we take care of you. But this just goes to show me ESPN College Game Day has become lazy. It's repetitive. It's a pageant show. And I'll just go into my take on the Big Noon Kickoff. I love Big Noon Kickoff as a college football fan because they talk about the X's and O's. They talk and break down what the game plan will be for the success of each team. College Game Day doesn't seem to do that no more. It's like they'll hint at it, but they don't actually go into the breakdown of it. They'll say, hey, they need to do this, they need to do that, and then boom, and they move on. But Big Ten, you're talking about these guys go out there on like a little fake practice field, running the fake stuff and everything. Like, and Urban Meyer's coming back, man. I think that's when it was at its best. So I'm excited. I mean, week zero, they did Big Noon Kickoff, didn't put as much into it as they shouldn't do because it was week zero. But College Game Day wanted to go all out, have everybody, and it just was bad to me. It was hard for me to watch. I didn't watch it. I really,
Uh,
I just kept flipping back and forth.
uh, well, I didn't get a chance to watch the show College Game Day or Big Noon Kickoff because I had something scheduled. But from my understanding, it's just like you said. I saw a lot of people chirping on Twitter about it, and they were at my guy Lee Corso head, man. I don't know what was going on. I don't know what was said, but they were at my guy head. I don't know what the deal was. I mean, I don't know. Just last year he seemed fine. I don't know if this year made a difference, but I don't know. I will have to go back and watch that because I was busy most of the day. I caught my football in the evening, but it is what it is, man.
Just go in, type Lee Corso, go in, type Desmond Howard. There's going to be so many memes and so many things about Desmond Howard being high the
I
whole
saw
set.
I
Yes,
saw that.
bro,
What was that about?
bro, that dude's wild, bro. Like that dude is on something, bro. He is not coherent.
I'm not gonna lie, college game day was definitely struggling. So
Struggle bus.
right.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We got some new NCAA rules, especially for college football coming up this season. People need to realize. So it addresses targeting and faking injuries. So the players are penalized for targeting and can have part of their punishment appealed. The new rules allow the conference office to request a review for the national coordinators of officials for the second half targeting foul. And then they would also miss the first half of the next game, as well as going into some of the faking injuries. So now delay games. So schools and conference can report injuries they believe were fake to the national coordinator of officials, who will provide feedback. Any penalties applied will be held up to the conference of the schools involved. So some really big news, especially because it takes away from the momentum of the game. EG, what's your thoughts on this?
My thing is this. I'm sorry, Lane Kiffin. That's one thing I want to say. I'm sorry to him about the faking injuries rule. But from my understanding, did they say they will still handle the faking injuries after the game though? So my thing is, does it change the game much if it doesn't be handled right then and there? So I don't know how it affects the game right then and there, but I can see Ole Miss being punished, or because every school Lane Kiffin's been at, he's done it, and we're tired of it. Everyone was tired of it. That's his go-to move, and this targeting thing, I just feel like, yeah, a player could be ejected. I don't know, like. I think that's nice because if you review it, he gets to play the next game instead of sitting out for a half. I'm all for that because there's been some BS targeting calls that I felt like, wasn't targeting. I know my guy, one of our hard hitting guys for the Arkansas Razorbacks, Bumper Pool, he's he's been caught targeting a few times, and we had to miss him for a half. But I think overall that rule helps the game. I want targeted the faking injury thing to kind of be reviewed maybe during the game to try to help the game during the game instead of a review. But either way, it still works. I like the thought of it.
Here's my thing about the faking injuries thing. You cannot tell someone that they're hurt. You cannot tell someone that they didn't feel a cramp. You can't tell someone that they didn't do, you know what I'm saying? So it is really going to be like BS. Then what? You're going to come to the school later and say, hey, man, we saw you grabbing your leg. Did you fake it? What do you think the dude's going to say? Like, no, I didn't
Right.
fake it. I caught a cramp. I had a Charlie horse. Went, drank some pickle juice, and then I came back. Like, that's exactly how it's going to go. I
Yeah,
just
I
think
agree.
it's a dumb rule, but the targeting thing, as where the rule is, this is great that they can appeal it. My issue is still that if it happened like in the first quarter, that guy has now missed, 3/4 of a game, and yeah, I mean, it helps guys who have gotten the targeting call in the second half because now they don't have to miss the first half of the next game. But it does not help the guys who got the targeting call in the first half. It doesn't,
Yeah.
So I believe what they need to do with this targeting rule is just go ahead and kind of do what the soccer system does, red card, yellow card, those type of things. I think when you want to review something and appeal something, I think it should be after, right? So you give the guy a red card, boom, boom, you allow him to keep playing. But you go back and review, and if you find out that it was with malicious intent, and you can see that from the video, now you come back to the next game. Hey, you're not playing for the whole first half. That's how it should work. It would only make
Right.
sense. But that's
I like that.
yeah.
That's definitely a nice little take you got on that, Mike. I haven't heard that from that perspective, but I do agree with that, especially with the football rules as well. So we got some week 0 recap for you guys. In case you missed it, Nebraska Northwestern beat Nebraska in Ireland 31-28. So what happened to Nebraska? Everybody was rooting for y'all,
So I watched the heck out this game from big noon kickoff to the end of the game, right? And I'm just like, Nebraska's coming out. I was high on Casey Thompson. I'm like, bro, this dude was leading the Big 12. You know what I'm saying? With a broken hand, he was leading
Woo.
with a broken thumb on his throwing hand, right? comes in this game is lighting it on fire, bruh. Lighting everything on fire. But guess what? His skill guys cannot catch the ball. I have never seen so many drops in my life. I have never seen a guy get an interception or there's 2 interceptions because the ball went through another guy's hand. Completely like, this is what they was doing the whole time, just hugging themselves. It was terrible, man. What was Scott Frost like? And then you're going to, hold on, he goes for an onside kick while you're up by 11. His excuse was hold on, let me make sure I get this right. His excuse on the onside kick was he felt if they had recovered the onside kick, they would have been able to put the game away and win the game. Your defense hasn't proved anything. They've been getting blown up in the trenches.
Northwestern was right there.
They're right knocking on the door, bro. And it's a Pat Fitzgerald, highly disciplined, highly developed team. And to be honest, this is what we talk about. Northwestern will have their down year, their inexperience, and then they will end up coming another year and they'll be experienced. Those guys will be developed. And that's what we saw. We saw, honestly, the culture in Nebraska, something is wrong. There's no discipline. It's the same thing. You fix the quarterback problem. Quarterback isn't an issue, but your skill guys dropping balls, skill guys fumbling the ball, that's an issue. Why is that still happening? Why are y'all getting penalties when y'all shouldn't be getting penalties, Nebraska?
Yeah, that's when you make a bonehead onside kick call like that, it comes to my mind like this. So they lose to Northwestern. You know, in 6 games, you know, if the record's looking ugly, I don't know if Scott Frost lasts out there. I don't know if he survived the whole season. Like we said last week, Northwestern could be just good this year. It could be that year for Northwestern to be good. But at the same time, when you're calling onside kicks at that point in the game where the game was still in the midst of being decided, I don't know. I think that was a bad coaching call. And like we talked about recently in my group chat, I remember Eli Drinkwitz, Herman, and Scott Frost being 3 of the hottest coaching names out there right now. And right now, all of them seem to be doing bad, if you ask me. All of them seem to not be living up to what their expectation is. Scott Frost, I mean, you're playing Northwestern. I think that should have been a win for him if they would have played the game very disciplined, like a normal team would, instead of trying to do the trickaroo and be that type of team. They win. But like I said, I don't know if Scott Frost lasts throughout the year if the first 6 games continue to look like this. Even though Casey Thompson didn't look as bad, the numbers at the end look kind of woozy.
Yeah,
but
if you didn't watch the game and you just look at the numbers, you're like, God, he threw 2 picks and like, but then when you watch the game and you just see like, I've never, even in a high school game, I've never seen so many drops.
Right.
Actually, in a Muni League game, I've never seen so many drops. Like, it was terrible.
I think the last pick was maybe on him, the pick 6 to win the game. I think it was maybe on him. I don't know, but like I said, if you look at it at the end of the game, you would think differently. But you had to watch the game. I caught the second half of that game, and I could have just
the last INT, the offensive player had the ball in his hands and just let it go, and then it popped into the defender's hands. Like he had it and let it go. Like it was weird, bro. I never seen nothing like it. And then here's the sad part: that Scott Frost. Like, I'm sorry, Scott Frost. You go and you blame your coaching staff and say, "Oh, I think that they needed to get more creative."
That's the creative part, right there.
No, sit there, stand 10 toes, take it right there on the chin. You effed the game up and gave Northwestern all the momentum that they had with that BS onside kick call. You got cocky for what?
The first half.
You're not him. You still have things to prove. There's not one reason. It'd be different if you was just winning the Big Ten West year in, year out. I could see you being cocky. But you ain't doing that.
Hey, I saw a tweet on Twitter, actually. Some guy put the silent library guys up there and said, "Hey, Scott Frost, go for an onside kick." And the guys were like, back there laughing. That's crazy,
Bro,
man.
yeah, gotta be, man.
Hey, as a Tennessee fan, we appreciate that game yesterday. And another game we highlighted last week, a, a little recap of Florida A&M, FAM, and UNC. UNC did blow out Florida, but FAMU had 23 ineligible players. They found that out Thursday night, right before they had to travel to the game. Um, so they were down a lot of players, and I think somebody else got injured in that game too. So,
Yeah,
but
you
I do.
One,
got
Oh,
go ahead.
what was that,
injuries
Mike?
are injuries are a part of the game, man. But being down 23 players ineligible, I'm thinking it has to be for grades, or I mean that's just it's unacceptable as a football program. FAMU, even though they're not a Power Five program, they're still FCS Division One program, and that's just unacceptable from that athletic department to allow that to happen. But because it took away from a great game, we don't really know. Out of those 23 guys, though, it was only 3 starters, but still going into a matchup like this, you need to have the depth, and they didn't have it. I mean, UNC might have them a QB. I can't sit here and go and say that after this game, them just going against FAMU. But I mean, Drake Mayer had almost 300 yards with 5 touchdowns, a 92.9 QBR, no picks. He also picked up 55 yards on the ground, but had a 42-yard breakaway run. So, I mean, maybe he's a young guy. There are going to be some bumps and bruises, but right now he looks pretty good.
And my thing again, man, what separates HBCUs and Power Five schools is the depth. And you going into the game down 23 players, I think we commented on Twitter it's going to be ugly. I mean, we talked about the last previous show that, fam, you could be one of those teams with a lot of seniors, the guys that's developed, and they could go out there and challenge those guys. But once that news broke Thursday, right before the game, I mean, we knew what would happen. I
Yeah,
hate it for those guys, man. I hope they can get their situation together. But 23 players is a bit ridiculous. These guys must have all skipped class together. What happened? Like,
yeah.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know, but I mean, but like you said, EG man, the depth is definitely serious. Back when all three of us was at UCA, when UCA went up against Ole Miss, I know Disney and
Ooh,
I traveled to that game, and UCA was winning at half. The only reason Ole
right.
Miss came back was because of the depth that they had, and they were able to get fresher bodies and stuff in there. Our guys,
Did we
bro, we
did we go into overtime that game?
no, we
Oh,
didn't
that was
go.
the Louisiana Tech
Nah, yeah,
game.
they blew us completely out in like the second half, bro. But the first half, we gave them everything that we had and the little
Right.
depth that we had in the first half. So sometimes that first half can be telling. What
Right,
else we
I
got,
agree.
Diz?
Dun, 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 dun. We
I,
can't hear you, Diz, but
I think Diz mic is muted.
I'm having some technical difficulties over
Rookie
here.
producer mistake. No,
I
I'm
know, I know. I'm
playing.
telling you. But I just wanted to let y'all know, FAMU did get paid. I think around some big money,
yeah.
a couple of Ks to play this game. So that's one of the reasons why they push to go out there and play.
But they
So
need to stop taking that and actually start getting millions, bro. Because if it was like an Akron or something like that, they probably would have gave them $1 million something dollars. Like, just stop BSing these HBCUs and give them their meal when they
exactly,
coming out there, bro.
Mhm.
exactly. You're right. And moving on to some playoff teams. We
Ooh.
ready for college football. Getting into week one. So we went through and ranked our top four for this 2022 season, and we're gonna go ahead and list our teams tonight and see how the season works out for us. So, EG, you up first?
You know, I got the two SEC schools coming in, man. I got Alabama, of course. Then I have Georgia, and I don't think Georgia is as tough as last year. I don't think they can win the title, but with the strength of schedule, I still think those guys make it into the playoffs. And my third team, of course, I got Ohio State. I got Ohio State making it, but Ohio State will make it with one loss. That's my prediction. And I got two teams that could possibly beat Ohio State, which is Michigan State or Michigan in that last game. And my thing is, I don't know, I feel like everything here's the thing, everything could line up for those guys to be a perfect season, undefeated, the title game, but we all know when Ohio State get those opportunities, it doesn't happen for them. They have to be that team that that they're woken up before they really play Ohio State football. And my last team I got making the playoffs is Notre Dame. And I was looking at Notre Dame's schedule. I think they have USC. That's a tough game. And if I'm not mistaken, do they play Utah?
Notre Dame?
Yeah.
No, Notre Dame
Okay.
has Clemson and USC on their schedule.
Okay. Clemson and USC. There it is. And I think Notre Dame could beat those two teams. I think Clemson would be tough, man. I just don't think Clemson is back to form quite yet. I want to see how this quarterback situation works out, but for right now, I got Notre Dame squeezing into that playoff because they're ranked fairly high early on. So I got them squeezing into it. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I think all of us are going to have Alabama at number one. The reason why I got Alabama there is, just everything with what they're returning, especially on defense. Heisman caliber player and Bryce Young. I got Ohio State, as they have always been a playoff team. The issue for the past couple of years is the defense. From everything I've been hearing, the defense is fixed. And I mean, they're definitely one of the top two teams if that defense is fixed for sure. So I got them at number 2, got Clemson at number 3. And then I got Utah at number 4. And the reason why I don't have 2 SEC teams is I think that all of these teams could possibly have one loss as long as they're their conference champion. They would make it in. And by committee, by the rule of what the college football playoff is, when you have that extra game and you have that conference champion behind you, that puts you in. And I think that that's what will get them over the hump over one loss SEC team.
Nice.
Yep. Same with me. I think everybody got Bama coming in. Again, you got Bryce Young, you got returning running backs, you got some potentials and some freshmen and some wide receivers. Also got the Ohio State coming in as well. You got CJ Stroud on that. And then I kind of went a different route. I went Utah. I feel like Utah could possibly have some potential this season. And like Mike said, I feel like everyone might potentially lose one game. And, Utah's schedule looks pretty straightforward. They do face Oregon, but that's late in the season in November. But other than that, I mean, they face USC, and I love some Lincoln Riley, but I just don't know. So that's why I didn't list USC. And then actually, some people might not be happy about this, but I picked Baylor. So I went ahead and I feel like Baylor is like an underdog, kind of like Miami coming into the season. They definitely showed some potential last season as well. I am definitely a Sooners fan, but new coach, just new alignment, all of that. I'm not sure if they can produce this upcoming season, but I'm interested to see what Oklahoma OU has. But I feel like Baylor could be a sleeper team coming in for the playoffs. So we'll see.
Let's go.
Yeah. And going off of that, the SEC, who's taking the conference? I think we kind of all had the same for the SEC, but EG, I'll go ahead and let you start on that.
I mean, it's pretty straightforward, man. Although I think Georgia loses the SEC championship, in Atlanta, I think it'll be Alabama, Georgia. I mean, that's how it's shaping up, man. Georgia don't have enough tough opponents on their schedule, and if you ask me, even Alabama, I don't know if it's just because Alabama's so much better than everyone. They don't have a tough schedule to me either. So they'll be the two teams, just plain and simple. We know they have a defensive player who could have got drafted last year on Alabama. As a sophomore, they have Bryce Young, who's to me, who's the best quarterback in college. I think we got an Alabama Georgia rematch in the SEC game.
What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go. EG done hit on all the points, man. I'm just gonna pick the same teams: Georgia, Alabama. I got those teams with Alabama squeaking out.
Okay. Quick question though: could you see Alabama losing a game this season?
I
Yeah,
Until
I
don't.
could see Alabama losing maybe one game. Like I said, I think all of these teams might have one game on their schedule. Alabama does have, like, I think Texas A&M and Arkansas back to back, and when you're talking about two of those games, you're talking about heavy trench work, so you can kind of be beat up going into that next game. So we will see, but I do think that they could possibly slip up in one of those games. I know Fayetteville is going to definitely be rocking for that Alabama game. The Hawk fans are looking forward to this season
Let's
as well.
go.
They're going to be on Dixon. So I mean, if Alabama thinks that this is the same Arkansas team, they have another thing coming, because one thing that we saw from this Arkansas team is they're willing to fight for Sam Pittman, man. It's just something about him. That team just has a different edge. So, I mean, like I said, them coming off of one of those games, man, they could end up losing the next one. So,
Ah, and I got a lot of friends who are predicting us to beat them in Fayetteville. I just I'm with them. I'm all for it. I'm excited. I think so too. But just from an outside looking in, I just can't say it because people will call me crazy. But hey, deep down inside, it can be done. It can be done. Let's go.
and Big Ten, Mike, who you got taking the conference?
for the Big Ten, man, I got Ohio State and Wisconsin. After what I saw from Nebraska's not going to be there. So, I'm definitely going to go with Wisconsin. I know that they had a running back who was 17 years old last year, and he was one of the most underrated. If you didn't watch Wisconsin and you don't know who I'm talking about, Brandon Allen, but that boy at 17 years old was outworking people. He's one of the top running back in the Big Ten, if not right behind Travion Henderson. I honestly could sit here and say Travion and Brandon Allen are fighting for 1A, 1B. So you're going to see an Ohio State Wisconsin matchup. We've seen it before. I think Ohio State squeaks out in this Big Ten matchup and puts them in the playoffs.
Uh-oh.
EG. So it looks like you got something a little different. What you come up with?
Well, the fact that Ohio State plays Michigan right there at the end, I think that will be their possible one loss. And I think Michigan goes to the Big Ten game versus Wisconsin. And my thing is only because these guys Michigan might have already had a loss prior to that, but I think they upset Ohio State towards the end of the year to make the Big Ten game versus Wisconsin. But I'm sorry, Mike. I got Michigan winning the Big Ten, and
So you got a
but
2-loss team up north winning the Big Ten, and then Ohio State gets in
still
because
making the playoffs
they
because
only
that'll
had
be their
one
first
loss.
loss.
Okay.
Exactly. So I think they hold on.
So a non-conference champion gets in. Hold on, you
Yeah.
got two non-conference champions getting in. Wow.
But my thing is, it's just the schedule placement. Like I said, Ohio State will spend most of the season undefeated. And they'll have their respect for that. There'll be two all year. If Alabama loses, there'll be one. But I still think a loss to Michigan doesn't take them out the playoffs. I think we'll respect Ohio State enough for them to still make the playoffs, be the fourth team that make it. But Michigan upsets them again and
Yeah.
and play Wisconsin for the title. This is
If
what
we
I
lose
got,
that game,
man.
we ain't making the playoffs. I just want to be on record saying that.
Okay. Okay.
If we lose that game, we ain't making the playoffs.
hey, it's whatever. But like I said, man, I think that's what happens. I think every year we have a questionable who make the playoffs type of deal. We have a situation where does this team make it after losing here? And we saw when Alabama lost to Georgia in the SEC championship, and they still made it. And I think Ohio State goes to the same thing this year.
I think that was because you had other multiple two loss conference champions, and the playoffs has yet to put a 2-loss team in, regardless of their conference champion.
I don't think a 2-loss team make it.
That's no. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, that's how you was talking about how Bama made it before, and I was saying that's how they made it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, for the Big 12, who we got? It looks like
I
we
think
got some.
I think we all agree on this. I
I
think we
think
all got OU and Baylor. And basically, I'll just say this. I think for OU, I think the thing that they needed in that program was the defense to be changed around, and they brought a defensive coach in. I think that and he brought in some guys that he knows, some guys that know his system as well to help with that. The thing now is we know that Oklahoma always has skilled guys. Yes, they lost one guy, right? But they still had a guy in, I believe, Marvin Mims, who stayed. And he was at Big 12 Media Days. And just what he was talking about the team, about the new coaching staff, he was just saying everything's elite. We've been pushed harder than we've ever been pushed before. It could have just been all talk. But the fact that Dylan Gabriel is in his offense along with his offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, he already knows the offense. He's able to teach. It's a difference when you have a player as a coach as well. And he's the coach of the offense as well at his position as quarterback. So who better to teach these players this offense? I think OU's offense is going to be humming. I think they're going to make it. I think Baylor probably is going to make it in as maybe a one-loss, two-loss team, and then we'll see how that goes.
Man, honestly, I think Baylor is a better team than Oklahoma right now. I don't know if Oklahoma's putting it together yet, but I like Mims. I remember him coming out of high school, man. He was this 5-star guy. But I don't think his numbers were all that great last year. And I just think Oklahoma has some work to do. I mean, it's not the same offense that we're used to seeing. It's not the same. They don't have a guy that they're targeted. They don't have a CD Lamb or DD Westbrook out there. It's just a bunch of guys. They have a bunch of guys by committee.
Marvin
And
Mims is that dude, bruh.
Mims is great.
Mims
Like I
is
said, I
that
remember
dude,
him
bruh.
coming out of high school. He was this 5-star recruit, but at the same time, they're rotating 7 wide receivers now. If you look at it, because we got Hazelwood from there. So I checked out what's going on over there at Oklahoma. It's just a bunch of guys getting looks. It's a bunch of young guys, older guys. They're all getting looks, and it's a big group. It's a committee right now. They don't have one guy that's just going for 1,000 yards.
I think Marvin Mims is going to be that dude. I think that's the reason why the coaching staff picked him to go to Big 10 Media Days. Like if he wasn't that guy who they was expecting to be the prime number one receiver, I doubt that they pick him to go to Big 12 Media Days to represent the team.
I mean, of course he's the number one wide receiver, but their number one wide receiver didn't eclipse what 600 yards last year.
Last year, they didn't even. Spencer Rattler couldn't throw the ball, and all we saw with Caleb Williams, we didn't see that he was a proven thrower. We just saw his legs. So how can you get the receivers the ball?
Like I said, a lot of guys got the ball last year, man. A lot of guys. This is where Oklahoma is right now.
Hey, that's why I had Baylor coming out on top of Oklahoma. So we'll see.
I agree.
So for the ACC Coastal, we all had Miami. I think Miami is definitely going to prove themselves this season, or they got a big thing to prove, especially this hype that we got off for off season. And with the Atlantic Coast, EG and Mike both had Clemson, and I had NC State. And I just say this because I think NC State, if they stay healthy this season, they have some returning players. They got 17 starters returning, as well as 10 starters on defense. So the only game that I'm really concerned about is against Clemson. So if they can come on top against Clemson, I feel like they could win the conference. So we will definitely see on that. Mike EG, y'all got something to say on that?
Well, my thing is like you're not wrong. Like I like the NC State thing. It's just I think Clemson. I think they're a good team this year. I think they'll be a top team over there this year in the ACC. But my thing is, I think Clemson beats them this year. I think Clemson owes them from what happened last year, and I think they come out on top. But that's not to say I got Clemson and Miami fighting it out for that title, but at the same time, NC State will still be a tough team for both of those schools. I still think they're a good program.
Oh yeah, definitely. A lot of people say what happened to Clemson, so we'll see this season. And for the Pac-12, we kind of came to a consensus, Oregon and Utah, but EGU put in USC. So
Ah, I'm gonna say USC, man. You know one thing people don't know about USC. My guy Lincoln, he's got those wide receivers similar to what he had at Oklahoma. They have a great wide receiver core out there, and people are sleeping on what they could do. I think they're a sleeper wide receiver core. I think the offense will be there. The question mark is defense, but I think the offense will be there for USC this season. I think they finally get it together and prepare to be in that Big Ten. I think they give the Big Ten guys a scare, kind of see what they can do. I think that offense is coming. I think Lincoln Riley puts it together and make those guys look good. And this is not saying that USC will be 12-0 or a one-loss team, of course, but I think they'll be better this season than they've been in a long time.
Yeah, my thing about USC is I have no faith in the defense. I have no faith in Alex Grinch. The reason why is because I know about Alex Grinch. I seen him. He was at Ohio State. Was told, hey, you should go find a job somewhere else. Also, Alex Grinch took one of our worst safeties who was on everybody's highlight tape last year. I'm I don't want to say the young man's name, but if you just go back and you watch who the free safety was or whatever, it looked bad. That's who USC went and got. Good. Congratulations. Good luck. I have. Thank you, Drizzy Dez. Drizzy Dez knows, man. He knows, man. I have zero faith in Alex Grinch. And like you said, man, that offense is gonna be humming. But I can tell you another offense that was humming, but still ended up losing 2 games. Ohio State. You got to have some type of defense, and I think that when they go up against a team like Utah, it ain't happening for them. They're gonna see some defense. And Lincoln Riley, he ain't seen much defense, and he struggles against defense. But those teams in the Pac-12 might not have some of the explosive offenses, but they have some defense out there. So he gonna see that.
Okay.
And we all like Lincoln Riley as a coach. Hey, I ain't gonna at least some of us do. So we got this week 1 kickoff. We got number 11 Oregon takes it on number 3 Georgia on ABC this upcoming Saturday at 2:30. So this is going to be a big matchup. We got some top 25 teams starting off, and I know EG you're going to be paying very close attention to this game.
I'm hoping to make it to that game. Lately, I've been working on Saturdays. I'm hoping to be outside that game. I'm hoping to talk to a Georgia fan. I'm hoping to talk to an Oregon fan before the game. I want to get some Fans Edge content. I want to see what those guys think about the upcoming season. I want to see what they expect out of that game, because everyone's like, oh, Georgia by a lot. Okay. Oregon, I feel like Oregon is being undervalued. I feel like they're overlooking Oregon. I still feel Georgia wins, but Georgia defense is not the Georgia defense from last year. It'll be a good defense, but it's not that defense. I don't think they kill teams. I don't think they do those things. I think they escape games by low margin. So I feel like the game will be close, but Georgia wins.
So I'm gonna go with Georgia on this one, and instead of Oregon. Reason being is Dan Lanning, former assistant of Kirby Smart, and one thing that we don't know about what Oregon is going to be is their offense, right? That's one thing that they have had some issues these past couple of years is the offense. Defense, they've been recruiting like crazy for guys on the defensive line, talking about top linebackers if they can stay healthy as well. Defense, I'm not worried about for Oregon, but I'll tell you this. We sit here and we think, oh, Georgia lost all those guys and everything like that. Oh, they had all those guys go to the NFL. But I'll tell you this, Georgia had a lot of blowouts last year.
A
And a
lot of
lot
young
of those
guys.
and a lot of those young guys got reps. And just how like Ryan Day plugs and plays, and you can always expect them to have a top 5 offense. I feel the same way with Kirby Smart. Whatever defense he has the talent. He gonna always have a top 5 defense, man. So, and I think that their offense is going to be better under Stetson Bennett. His second year, him actually, because what a lot of people don't realize, last year he became the first guy and didn't get those first team reps, guys. And he led them to a national championship. Now he's the guy, the team rallying around him. Dude had a like Slim Shady haircut, dude. Like Stetson Bennett that changed his whole aura, man. Like he got the confidence about him. I say Georgia wins by a lot. I know the over-under is set at 50. I don't know about Oregon's offense, so I don't know if they can get there. I know Georgia can at least score 35 points at least. What kind of points is Oregon gonna score? That's the issue.
I don't know about Bo Nix, man, but I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say
Turnover
this.
Knicks.
I don't think. I just don't think. I think Georgia will be in a quarterback battle next year. I think what Stetson Bennett does, I think it causes room for guys to game plan against him. He has no legs. I mean, he's an accurate guy. He has no legs. I think it'll be a tougher year for Stetson this upcoming season. I'm sorry to Georgia fans, but I just feel like it'll be a tough year for Stetson this year. I don't think he has a defense that'll save him so much like the one he had last year. Of course, he'll have a great defense this year, but I think it'll leave room for him to make mistakes, and I think they'll be in a QB battle midway in the season, man. I think they'll be looking to replace Stetson, similar to how Alabama did when Tua replaced Hurts.
I know we got a lot of Razorbacks fans out there looking to go up on the hill this upcoming weekend as they face Cincinnati, 3:30 on ESPN. And I know a lot of people are rooting for Arkansas to bring home the W. So I don't really have much to say against Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean, I think Arkansas runs away with this game. Cincinnati lost too much, and we can sit here and say like one thing Cincinnati is, even though they will probably be in the Big 12 next year in 2 years, like they don't have the depth. And Luke Fickell has recruited better as a Group of 5 school, but they're still going. They lost like some guys like some cornerbacks. You lost some NFL caliber quarterbacks. They did get Kerry Combs, who was one of the best DB developers. So maybe that'll be something. I'm interested to see this game, but I think Arkansas is gonna blow them out, man. Especially the trench play. We saw what Cincinnati did in the playoffs, bro. It looked bad, man. Arkansas gonna freaking run the ball down their damn throat.
Hey, man, let's go Hogs, baby. I think, first of all, being a former hold on, Drizzy Dead. Slow your roll. Slow your roll. All right, so I think beating a former playoff team from the previous year will look good for the Arkansas Razorbacks. I just think everyone knows I'm an Arkansas fan. I think beating a former playoff team will be great. But another thing, I think Cincinnati lost a lot to the NFL, man. A lot of people will always just view a team like, oh, they were in the playoffs last year. I got them beating y'all. Everyone always seems to view Arkansas in a negative way. They always just vote guys against us. But, I think this year we'll have a great year. I think starting out with Cincinnati is great. I think we get a win over a former playoff team. And I think the media covers that once we beat them. We'll run the ball. People are not expecting our run game to be there. People are not expecting KJ Jefferson to have a good year without his first round draft pick. I think we've replaced him with a committee of guys. I think we have a great wide receiver core this year, better than last year, even though we lost Traylon. I think we have a better group of guys out there for KJ to throw the ball to. Also, those guys are tall. Our receivers are tall this year. And, we'll just put that on display in the first game. I think we beat Cincinnati by at least 14 points.
Yeah, I just want you to know why everybody got y'all negative lights, because y'all lost to teams like UNT and ULM. That's all.
Dude.
I'm just saying why. I'm just saying why.
Why are we gonna bring up old stuff?
I'm just saying why. Like,
Not too much.
People still remember that.
So look, I get that. That's cool. So when I pick Michigan to beat you guys, I don't need to hear anything from you, Mike. I don't need to hear when we're in spaces. I don't need to hear anything, because Michigan, just like Ohio State last year, Michigan is returning about 7 players from offense, and Ohio State won plenty of games with just offense. They're not returning as many on defense, but it's proven that the Big Ten can be won without defense, without a great defense. It's proven. You guys make it out of the Big Ten without a defense more than anyone.
That's not true.
Yeah,
normally when we don't have a defense, we actually lose to Penn State, Michigan State, and then we lost to that team up north. So, like, people assume that Ohio State just wins, like, and think that like the Big Ten has no teams. But think about the teams that have made it to the Big Ten championship.
I never said no teams. I said
I know you didn't say that
without defense. But
Michigan
State usually have one of. Michigan State usually have a defense. I like Michigan State. They usually have a tougher defense, and Penn State as well.
They didn't last year though. They had one of the worst secondaries in the country last year. But they got blown out by Ohio State.
EG, what you think? 9-3, Arkansas?
Me, man, I got Arkansas winning 10 next year. And even if we go 9-3, I think we get 10 with a bowl. But 9 to 10 wins, man. That's next year, man.
They better go 11-1 with that cupcake schedule.
Hey, no cupcake schedule over here.
I had to get them riled up. I had to.
We played 2 former playoff teams. 2.
See, this is what I love about college
who
football.
else doing
this is
that?
not the NFL. It's not the same guys returning. That's what we just
exactly. But but when you're looking at strength of schedule, they can only go off of last year.
No, that's not what they do. ESPN, when they do this, they have the FPI because they're talking about the players returning, the recruiting rankings and things like that. So you're going off of that. And the only thing that you can really go off from last year is how the coaches coach the defenses and offenses and things like that. But I mean, come on, man. Like, to sit here and say that playoff Cincinnati team with Desmond Ridder and that thing ain't playing the Hogs, bro.
Absolutely, I agree.
With Sauce Gardner and them, that ain't the playoff team. Like, that's one thing. Like Urban Meyer, Kirby Smart, those guys, they tell like that after their team win the national championship. They tell that next team, you guys ain't did ish. You ain't that team. This is a different 100%. Team. So I just want to make sure we remember that.
100%. But looking at our schedule, when you play 2 former playoff teams, hey guys, that's a tough schedule. When they're looking at the schedule,
that team up north was y'all were supposed to play that team up north, bro, but they ducked y'all. That's some BS though.
I remember that conversation.
That's BS, bro. Nah, it's not. It's not. I just had. Me. I got a joke. I got to.
Right, and it's all good with me because I feel good about my Hogs this year. And I feel good about that.
You should do. I feel good about them too, man. We're gonna be talking about them a lot this year.
Yes, sir. And we're starting the season. Ranked number 19, which gives us an opportunity to be ranked the entire season because we can start off with 3 wins.
Ain't been ranked in preseason in what, 10 years?
It's been a while, man. But hey,
about a decade, yeah.
That doesn't really matter anyway. But
I didn't have these gray hairs back when y'all was
he was in diapers, bro.
Hey, you didn't have those gray hairs last time Ohio State won the championship.
Actually, I did though.
So we got out of there for a while. But go ahead.
We got number 7 Utah taking on Florida at Florida. It kicks off this upcoming Saturday, 7 p.m. on ESPN. So
Ooh.
I think everyone, I know, some of us are SEC fans, but as a Tennessee fan, I definitely don't want Florida to win. Also, I got Utah in the playoffs, so that's who I'm calling for this
Right.
game.
I got
EG, what you got?
I'm sorry to the Florida fans, man. I've been hearing those guys in spaces all summer, man. I'm so tired of those guys. I'm tired of Florida. I'm tired of Miami guys, but I think Utah upsets those guys, man. And this is no disrespect to Florida because I think they're building something nice with Anthony Richardson at quarterback. I think he has a bright future, even though he hasn't done much yet. Those guys are thinking too big for him too fast. I think it comes, but right when they play Utah, I think he's gonna be just woken up. Utah has I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but they have one of the best defensive backs in the country
Clark
returning.
Phillips.
There you go, Phillips. I think he's one of the best defensive backs in the country. And I think, just as a whole, Utah, they have a good defense. They'll beat Florida. It won't be an upset. I think everyone is expecting them to beat Florida.
Yeah, Vegas has this game as like basically a pick'em game. You know, I obviously got Utah, and the reason being is Florida fans, when you say that, they like, oh, but they ain't played in the swamp. Oh, do you not know the talent that we have? And yes, Florida, we know you have talent, but this is also week 1, man. This is a Florida team that has no identity, don't know what they are on offense, don't know what they are on defense, going up against a Utah team who knows exactly what they are on offense, know exactly what they are on defense. Would have been in the playoffs last year if they had started Cam Rising, who's now the starting quarterback. So they got the right guys. I mean, they know exactly who they are, and it's just week 1. I'm not saying that Utah is going to blow this team out. I think it's going to be a good game because Florida has the talent. But when you're talking about when it comes down to the bits and pieces, the discipline, not getting those penalties and things like that, I know I can count on Utah. I know I can count on Cam Rising. And one thing that people aren't going to be paying attention to is they got them tight ends. They got
Them
a
tight ends.
bro. People think like these corn-fed boys can't battle, bro. And I'm like, y'all gonna see how these guys are up front, man. I mean, they gave Ohio State a test. You seen Clark Phillips that you brought up. He had some good plays against Marvin Harrison Jr., who's actually going to be a starter for Ohio State. He had a couple great plays against Jackson Smith and Jigba. One time he wasn't even covering Jackson Smith and Jigba. Jackson Smith hawked him down and made him fumble. You know what I'm saying? And they got the ball back. So, saying that to say, Utah does have some dogs, man. Clark Phillips was actually an Ohio State commit. Jeff Hafley goes to be the head coach at Boston College. He flips to Utah.
Nice.
Smart business decision for him.
Oh, yeah. And then, so we got Notre Dame taking on the Ohio State. This will be ABC at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. And Mike, I already know who you got for this game, but for my fantasy draft that we did today, I need Notre Dame to tight end to at least do something. What you got, Mike?
Obviously I got Ohio State. If you are betting this game, you can bet the over. You can bet the over. The over is set at 58. You can bet that. The spread was 14.5. I think that it has now risen up to 17 spread. Reason being is they're supposed to have an offensive lineman that's out. Their starting wide receiver is also out. They have 3 or 4 scholarship wide receivers, so they're very thin at the wide receiver position right now. They're breaking in a new quarterback, Tyler Buckner, and these Notre Dame fans had me fooled. I was in these spaces talking to them, trying to learn about Notre Dame, and I'm like, man, but you guys are breaking in a new quarterback, and they, you don't know what he did against Virginia Tech, and he came back and did this. So I go back, I look, and I'm like, this guy's stats was not that good, and he threw 2 picks, and I don't see nothing explosive from him. He couldn't even make a screen pass to the running back that my 2-year-old throws the ball further with accuracy all the time. Like, so we got to see. We do know that he's explosive with his legs. Not worried about his arm at all. Now, one thing that I am ready to see, Notre Dame has a proven defensive line. They have that, right? What I'm looking forward to see is Ohio State's offensive line finally hold up in the trenches, finally be able to run the ball up the middle instead of having to try to run the ball sideline to sideline using stretch and things like that. So that's what I'm going to be looking for in this game. I'm not going to go through all of the amazing players that Ohio State has, but the key thing that I'm looking for is Ohio State's offensive line versus Notre Dame's defensive line. That's the matchup that everybody should be looking for.
Yeah.
You don't think Marcus Freeman will have any momentum coming into this game, especially as he returns home as Notre Dame's head coach?
Yeah, he's returning home. I think that this is going to be very emotional. Like a lot of people are very high on Marcus Freeman, but I mean, I've seen my own head coach as a rookie make terrible game. There's a difference between calling the offensive play or defensive play calling versus managing the whole game and the whole team all at once. And every decision, you have the final say. Every play call, you have the final say. So, I want to see how Marcus Freeman game ended. I think this is going to be emotional for him, man. He has talked a lot of stuff about his alma mater. He did go on like a tour trying to backtrack and things like that, because I heard a lot of his teammates and alumnus had went after him about it. So he kind of backtracked, but one thing I do know about Ryan Day, he's a silent assassin. He won't say nothing, but he will put all of that crap that you say in his back pocket. And when that score just keep going up and then the backup quarterback throws a pass a touchdown, you know why.
I've been looking at EG's face the whole time. He been saying, look, a whole off season, preseason defense is key. EG, what you got?
Oh man, this is the one game Notre Dame loses. Of course, I think they just start out losing and they get better as the season goes. I think this is their momentum building game. They see what they have to work on, and just they have a lighter portion of the schedule coming up right after Ohio State. And I think they build momentum and work towards that playoff possible team. But yeah, they lose this game early on. It's just too early to play Ohio State right now. But all that Ryan Day stuff, man, I don't want to hear all that, man. I don't know.
Ryan Day. That boy gonna be wearing the Ryan Day T-shirt by the end of this season.
I mean, all power to you guys. Go beat everyone. Go beat everyone. I don't want to hear we made the playoffs. I want to hear that. Go beat everyone. Go win it.
That's what we got to do, man. That's what we got to do.
Hey, so we got some really big matchups for this week 1. I know we all looking forward to it. Anybody else got anything else to add for tonight before we jump off?
Today was a long show, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's week 1. Gotta be, man. We got to give the fans everything. We're going to break this down into some segments and stuff like that. But I do want to add 2 things. I want to give a game ball this week to Casey Thompson. Talking about him. And yes, he lost the game. But I want that young man to keep his head up, bro, because it was not on his fault. The reason why they lost that game, he looked like an amazing quarterback. Honestly, kind of had me nervous. Like, I'm glad that Nebraska isn't on our schedule. But they showed me that they were the same Nebraska team. But, this guy decided to pick this program, learned under a new offensive coordinator who had just got to that program, under a new quarterbacks coach that just got to that program. And for him to have the type of game that he had against a conference opponent, not a cupcake game, not a group of 5 or FCS school, but an actual Power 5 conference opponent. Shout out to Casey Thompson, man. He deserves that. I think that young man needs to keep his head up. And then another game that I think everybody needs to watch and be paying attention for is Penn State and Purdue. If Jeff Brom can pull out a freaking sneaky win, it's going to be in the first game of the season. He always has some guy, some gadget guy that we don't know about, like a Rondell Moore or what's his name, Ronnie Bound, that just goes off, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Hey, and I guess that's all for tonight on the Fans Edge. If you did happen to miss a piece of tonight's segment, make sure you go and check it out. It will be live tomorrow on all podcast streaming platforms. And then, like Mike said, we'll be cutting this up and putting this on social media. So make sure you check and follow all social media platforms for updates every single day. And with that, we are out.